Hello and welcome to this episode of Between the Studs. I'm your host Mark, and I'm also joined by Chris, one of the owners of Atlanta Brick Co. But today we have a really special guest, and we love getting guests at Atlanta Brick Co. This is Jonathan. He is the mini superheroes today. He is the LEGO Super Heroes guru. If you haven't seen his channel, it's going to be in the description. We'll hopefully have a link somewhere you can click. But we actually had Jonathan it was actually a long time ago.
It was a bit ago.
If you look at Between the Studs, episode 60, we had a chat with Jonathan, and that was almost 100 episodes ago. This will be like 159 or 160, depending on how
That was a good episode.
It was a very good episode.
Yeah, go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was actually Justin talking to you guys, not me.
Really?
So that's how long ago. It's pretty interesting.
Cow.
Yeah.
But Jonathan,
we're going to pull a Shrek 2 today and do even better with the second one.
Exactly.
So. First one's great, but the second one, man, it's a contender.
We're going to up the ante. But Jonathan, how you doing today? You doing good?
I'm well, yeah. Thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. Sorry it's been 2 years since, but you know.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
That's it. It's been quite the year in between. So.
Yeah, and you're located up in the Tennessee area, right? So it's a bit of a hike to drive down here, a couple hours.
Yeah, Nashville, Music City. It's like 4.5 hours, but the problem for me is it always ends up being closer to 6 because there's a bunch of antique stores I like to hit on the way down.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, it is a cardinal sin of being an American to pass a Buc-ee's and not stop, so that adds a little extra time, too.
You gotta stop at the Buc-ee's if they're on the way.
You gotta pay the beaver respects on the way down. You know,
how much was gas?
$2.69.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I always take a picture and send it to a group of people.
Yeah, exactly. Just to urge people about how much more it is in the regular stations.
But what I'm really doing is just bragging that I'm at Buc-ee's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a good time for
It's the little subtle flex.
Yeah. Well, glad you made it to the Buc-ee's of independent LEGO stores, Atlanta Brick Co.
That's it. We were talking about that earlier.
Exactly. But so you journeyed here. You made some epic travels, but one of those journeys that we actually saw you document pretty well on your channel and Instagram and social was your trip to Billund and some of the adventures over in Europe and that whole experience. And I've made it there, Steven's made it there, Daniel's made it there, but you got to Scareback and some other things too, right?
Yeah, it was a great trip. I was there for a week this year, and in that week we, in no particular order, went to LEGO House. We got to go to the LEGO Ideas House, which is like the private museum for the employees and higher-ups at LEGO. It's actually built into Ole Kirk Christensen's house. So you get to walk through his house and this giant museum. It's unbelievable.
Did you get into the Star Wars room?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
that was very, very
that.
cool, yes. But, of course, Scareback, which you brought up, which, if you've never heard of Scareback, you might think that we're, like, mid-sneeze while we're saying that word, but it's actually a town in Billund that has a LEGO convention that is there every year. And the thing that's unique about this is it's the biggest, if not the only LEGO convention in Denmark. So a lot of actual LEGO designers and employees will be there. And so you just get to mix and mingle. And I guess Christmas music is still on the mind. Mix and mingle. But you get to mix and mingle with all these LEGO employees. And that's always fun. And you get to see these amazing mocks. But, of course, all three of us here are collectors. You see the craziest stuff there. Like, you know, I talk about it a lot like vinyl records. When you go to another country, American stuff is super expensive, but when you're shopping for vinyl here in America, the European stuff and international stuff is more expensive.
Across the pond, yep.
The same thing is true for LEGO over there because, you know, there are a lot of European LEGO things such as like Modulex, which are very, very small LEGO bricks for architects that were from the late 60s to the late 70s. That never made it here. So here they're pretty valuable, but over there you find them just about everywhere. So just one example, but yeah, Scareback is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. If you're a LEGO fan, you like to travel, it is definitely worth trying to make that be on your LEGO bucket list for sure.
It's like a pilgrimage, right? You know,
It
you
really
got to make
is.
it there if you're a hardcore fan.
How many people from America were at that convention, would you say? Just ballpark guess.
Yeah, that'd be hard to guess.
Was it dozens or was it maybe 100?
I'll say this: there are two things I'm really bad at. The first is winning the lottery, and the second, is measuring.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't tell you how far the camera is from us. I'm terrible at measuring.
Not a guesstimate guy. Okay.
And that also applies to crowd size. So I just, you know, it probably helps me with like stage fright because like I don't know if
You don't
that's
know how many
100
people?
people or 1,000 people.
That's good.
Well, I was wondering because I saw somebody come in the store recently that had a Scarebeck shirt on.
Whoa.
That's pretty
And
cool.
I think he just went to the one you went to.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, wow. That many people would travel over there for a Scarebeck.
Yeah.
Well, if you do Scarebeck right, which I have to tell you, I did not this year. I had no idea what I was doing. I can't even spell Scarebeck on some days. If you do it right, though, and you sign up, like, on the day when tickets come out and all that, you can, like, stack your experiences. So, for example, they do something called A-Fall Night at Lego House, where they shut down Lego House, and it's just for A-Falls. Sometimes they have exclusive stuff. They'll have set designers come in and do autograph signings. So there's all kinds of cool opportunities there. They do an inside tour that you can be lucky enough to get drawn for, where you can see like the factory where pieces are made and things like that. So those are just a couple examples of things that you can be fortunate enough to participate in should you go to Scarebeck and play your cards right. But once again, I went to Scarebeck and I didn't even know I had cards to play, let alone play them right. Because I just got to go to the convention. But this year,
Yeah, exactly.
we're going to live it up.
You're going back.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't miss it for the world, huh? That's great.
Yeah, me and Duck Bricks are going to go, and we're going to Germany the week before to do Legoland Germany. And Legoland Germany has their own pick-a-brick, which is just bonkers. Like, guys, I got to tell you, like, there are literally bins full of sharks that you could just pick-a-brick sharks.
By weight, right? Yeah,
That's,
it's like, it's
that's the
insane.
coolest sentence I've said all year. I mean, we're only a couple days into the year as we're recording this, but still,
Dude,
you
that
know.
sounds like a Sharknado.
It could be. It could be. It'd be amazing. You could be like, you know that scene in Breaking Bad where he's like laying on the $100 bill
Yeah,
stacks?
yeah.
Like that with Lego sharks.
I've seen some castle accessories make it to that Legoland in Germany. It's definitely worth visiting.
I'll be texting you when I'm there.
Absolutely.
What time of year is that?
That will be September.
Oktoberfest.
October.
That's when Oktoberfest is in Germany.
So you got to
Yeah.
circle
It's
back to
actually-
Germany.
Yeah,
That
it's
may be
actually
it.
in September. It's not in October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't drink, but
Wow.
I can watch people
Oh, gosh,
who do and
just
live
the sights.
vicariously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The food's probably amazing. Yeah.
I bet.
so-
Get me some pretzels.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
go, man.
Man, I'm hyped for you, Jonathan. That sounds
Thanks.
like a great forward thing. But yeah, so you made it to Billund. You got at least the light experience. So at the convention, did you talk to any particular Lego designers or anyone that really stood out to you?
Yes.
Besides Duck Bricks and some of the other friends you were with?
Yeah, I can, and I'll shout them out because we're buddies now.
For sure.
But I had a really, really cool experience. I was at the convention, and I was talking to one of my good pals, Ash and Flash, also a Lego YouTube content creator. And we're walking around, and he points over there, and he goes, "Have you met Justin yet?" As in Justin Ramsden, as in the designer of the Sanctum Sanctorum. He was on the Avengers Tower that just came out.
Many sets.
Yeah, I mean,
great designer, yeah.
We could fill the next 30 minutes talking about all the things he's worked on, but I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I haven't met Justin. I'm like, could you introduce me? So we walk over, and Ash is like, "Hey, Justin, this is Jonathan Mini Super," and he gets cut off, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm such a big fan," blah blah blah. And he's like shaking my hand, and I'm like, "I'm your fan. Like, this is awesome."
So you
This
got
is
the
great.
opposite of what you were expecting there.
Complete
That is
opposite.
great.
So yeah, it was really cool because, you know, Mark Stafford is one of my favorite Lego designers of all time. He just has designed so many pivotal sets for me, and I got to interview him one-on-one last year at Lego headquarters, and so that was very cool for me. And then to meet Justin, who's also a very like influential designer of a lot of sets that I like, that was very cool. The last one I want to meet, well, there's many Lego employees I'd
You want
like
to
to
meet as many as
but
possible.
the big one I'm hoping to meet someday is Adam Grabowski, who's done a ton of sets, including the original Indiana Jones Temple Escape with the boulder roll,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was my favorite set for probably 10, 15 years. And it's still pretty high up there for me, but he's designed a ton of sets.
Yeah. He's
everywhere. But that one in particular, I'd like to get my instructions signed. So,
That's pretty
Adam, if you're watching this,
Hey, that's what next year's about. This
That's it.
upcoming September. Yeah,
That's
so
it.
Looking forward to it, man. That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
While you were there, you talked about some of the like European exclusives. Did you pick up anything in particular that you want to share about from your journey?
well, the thing I really like picking up over there, I love the Modulex, which I mentioned is like the very small bricks. Google it; they're very cool. I also picked up some wooden blocks from the 1930s, which, of course, before Lego was making plastic bricks, they were making wooden toys. And admittedly, you can kind of find the blocks just about everywhere over there. So it's very cool to get those. So I got MSHT for my initials. And if you look on my channel and my videos, you can see MSHT on my shelf. And those wooden blocks are from the 1930s from LEGO. Beyond that, yeah, I mean, you find all kinds of crazy stuff over there. It's really incredible. Promotional stuff, employee stuff. Duck Bricks, he stayed a little bit longer than I did in Billund, and he and Just Too Good went to another flea market, and he found me all of these artist original prints. Yeah, I haven't even talked about these on my channel yet. I probably will by the time you're watching this, but regardless. Yeah. They are artist original prints that were given out at San Diego Comic-Con for promotional posters. I don't know the artist's name off the top of my head, but they did like a Tales of Asgard Marvel comic recreation of that in Lego form with like Thor flying at you. And it's the artist original.
I know the artist.
At a flea market.
At a flea market.
That's insane.
And there was a stack of them. I have like Captain Carter from the Marvel 2 video game, like just a stack. He kept all the Star Wars ones. I'm like, as cool as this would be, like you should have some of these, but I got all the Marvel ones. So.
That's awesome.
Yes, gotta hang them up.
Super cool, man. This is some of the crazy stuff you can find over there if you can get that plane ticket to the cool motherland of Lego. It's awesome.
It's worth the trip, and it's not easy to get there, at least not from Nashville, because you have to fly somewhere else in Europe as a connector and then go to Billund. So my little travel hack is I try to fly into somewhere that I can spend a day or two. So, because if I'm going to go all the way, might as well. So this year I went to Paris for 2 days. Then I went to Billund, Denmark for a week. And then I went to Amsterdam for 2 days on the way home. And then I had an 8-hour layover in Boston when I got back to the States, so I spent a day in Boston, then headed home. It's nice in retrospect, but oh my gosh, I was exhausted. Exhausted, but, when in Rome.
That is super cool. And
or when in Boston.
Yeah, or when in Billund, exactly. Yeah. So you definitely recommend this kind of journey for most LEGO fans if they're able to swing it, right? So.
Yeah, I would say if you're a LEGO fan to the point that you've made it this far in this interview, you probably would enjoy Billund.
Exactly. So ranting about it for a few minutes.
I definitely would say it's a worthy trip to make. You gotta go.
Was that the highlight of your year?
Yes, but like compartmentalized things within it were the highlight of my year. Okay. Getting to hang out with friends, getting to see Avengers Tower be revealed there. I mean, that was pretty amazing. But one of the highlights of the year, I actually brought a piece of it for you as a gift. So now would be a good time for that, I think.
Yeah, if you.
So, I was a part of a campaign several years ago to find the Lego Win Kid. And on the back of Lego instructions in the mid-2000s, there's a kid that's like,
for like a decade, yeah.
Yeah, forever. And it said win, and there was a thing. And this fan of mine reached out and was like, hey, we should try and find whatever happened to that kid. Presumably he grew up and he's somewhere out there in the world as an adult now. Mm-hmm. So I shared some things about like, hey, does anybody know who this is?
The Win Kid.
Yeah, he eventually made a TikTok saying like, I'm the Lego Win Kid. And then I reached out to him and connected with him. And it's like, yeah, he was just like a child, like model actor. Yeah. In the mid-2000s, early 2000s, Lego hired him. He did this, and that was that. And he's like, yeah, no, like, I've only done one interview about this ever. And we were talking, and I started to put the pieces together that he lived about an hour north of Billund. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to be there in a few weeks. Could I, like, come meet you? Because it turns out he opened 2 nightclubs in Denmark. Like, Lego Win Kid is winning at life. He has 2 nightclubs. Wow. He dives with sharks. He owns a jewelry company. Out of college, he became a professional football soccer player. He hurt his shoulder, so he retired early, started all these businesses. And amidst that, I got him to sign a couple Lego instructions.
That is
and
awesome.
There you go.
That
So,
is going in a frame.
Cow.
He told me he has never been approached in real life about being the Lego Win Kid. And he's never signed an instruction booklet. So I took 35 to get signed. 1 is mine, 1 is Duck Bricks, and now 1 is yours, Chris.
Well,
so
thank
you
you so much. This is getting a frame and a plaque.
That's going in the office, right? That's
Hold it up so people can see the Win Kid.
This is fantastic.
That's the Win Kid, and He's all grown up now.
I'm not much of a social media guy. I saw your picture with him.
Yeah.
I saw that. And
Oh,
that was
yes.
awesome. That was so cool. He's doing better than Anakin Skywalker.
I know.
He sure is.
Lego Win Kid is winning at life. And I have to tell you, his restaurant is called Restaurant Hack in Aarhus, Denmark. It's an hour north of Billund.
Mm-hmm.
It was so unbelievably good. The food.
Wow.
It was, I mean...
He owns a restaurant too?
Yes. So we went. My friend Fred went. He was my videographer, and Duck Bricks went with me as like my
As you do.
additional plus one.
Yeah.
And Duck and I both ordered a steak. We both cleaned our plates, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, "You want to go in on another steak?" So we ordered 3 steaks and split the third one. It was that good, and we're gonna go back next year.
Next year? That's definitely on the agenda? That's
Yes,
amazing.
it is worth the 2 hours round trip of driving. The food is that good.
Wow.
Yeah, mind blowing.
I'm so happy that the Win Kid just totally seems to have won at life. That's
yeah,
awesome.
he's
That's
crushing it.
That's a success story we can all get behind, right?
And then he told us he was in a Ninjago commercial as well. So yeah, you can check out the video on my channel. We went through the whole thing.
You've got more
It's-
details on your own
yes,
channel.
yes.
I gotta check that out.
Pretty wild.
That
But
is
yeah,
so
the
cool.
Win Kids out there crushing it, man. It's amazing.
That is sick. That's fantastic.
What a-
and you
what a
mentioned...
great gift. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the questions I had for you, Jonathan, was, so Duck Bricks, you mentioned Duck Bricks. Had you met him before this trip to Billund? Was this planned? Or, like, when did you bump into him, and what kind of brought you guys together? It seems like just a shared love of the LEGO theme, and just two really all-around great guys. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'll say it's pretty rare in life that you go through life and you make a new best friend. I mean, seriously, think about it out there. Like, how many best friends have you made throughout your life?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we're all fortunate to have a handful, but
Yeah.
it's not... It doesn't happen every day, unless you're Chris. But no, I was doing a meet and greet at a Bricks and Minifigs in Nashville, Tennessee, Brentwood, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And just hanging out, meeting people. We're building sets together, and Duck Bricks walks in. And I'd not met him before, but of course I knew him from
You know what he
YouTube.
looks like, yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, there's no way. Like, what is Duck Bricks doing here? And he came in, and he was so nice and so gracious, and he said, yeah, I've been a fan of your channel for years, and I was in Nashville for work and saw you were doing this, so he said he rented a car to come all the way out to come meet me. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. So we, like, headed off, and we're talking about YouTube and Lego collecting, and I'm like, how long are you in town for? And he's like, a couple more days. And I'm like, you got to come over tomorrow and see the collection.
Exactly.
So he came over, I gave him the tour of my collection. We went out to dinner, we came back and filmed a video of him walking through my collection, and we've been friends ever since. So it's
That
just
is awesome.
crazy. It's literally just been since, like, I think June of 2023.
Yeah.
And
What
yeah,
a chance meeting, too, because he's in Washington.
Seattle,
Seattle?
Yeah, that's cool.
So when are you going back out to Seattle?
Well, that's a great transition here. So I am going to submit for a Guinness World Record later this year. And in order to do that, you have to have somebody to certify it. So it needs to be somebody, like, in the field of your collection that is there on camera that can, like, attest to the legitimacy of the claim you're trying to make. So Chris, Duck Bricks, has graciously agreed to be my officiator of my world record, if you will. So he's going to come out to Nashville and do that a little later this year. And then he's going to go for a world record for the biggest Lego collection in the world of individual Lego sets. And before I knew he was going to do that, I'm like, man, thank you so much for, like, coming all the way out to me. Like, if I could ever repay the favor. And he's like, well, actually, I'm going to go for the biggest collection ever. And I'm like, 9,000 sets? It's like, even if you spent 3 seconds on each set, I mean, that video... Because it has to be one long, continuous, unbroken, unedited video. So, like,
To get the record, right?
yeah, so, like, that could literally take days of continual filming to get
His
9,000
watch time's
sets.
going to skyrocket.
It's going to be wild. So, yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. You know, that's what friends are for, as the song goes. So
Yeah.
if I have to do that, that's great. But
You could help him, maybe. Yeah.
I might need, like, braces for my arms to hold the camera so,
So
they don't
what
get
is
tired
your
or something.
world record going to be for?
I didn't mention that. My world record is going to be for the most complete Lego Marvel collection. So that will include Comic-Con minifigs, Comic-Con sets, every Lego Marvel set sealed, all the Spider-Man 2002 to 2004 sets sealed, poly bags, magazines from Europe, foil bags, anything you can imagine that says Lego Avengers, Lego Marvel, Lego Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Man.
Anything superheroes, right? Yeah. So.
Marvel specifically.
Yeah,
But
awesome.
yeah, it's amassing a lot of space to collect all of this. So I've got it all organized. It's all separated on shelves by year. So everything that came out in 2012 is on one shelf, 2013, so on and so forth. And I just started my 2024 shelf. So after that, I'm out of space. I literally don't know what I'll do in 2025, but I got a whole year to figure it out.
There you go. That's awesome.
We actually had a Guinness World Record set in this studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a gentleman from Tennessee, Luke Chapman, built the UCS Millennium Falcon the fastest time ever.
Whoa.
It's in the Guinness Book of
I think it
World
was
Records.
6 hours at the time.
Whoa.
It was longer than that.
Okay.
It was 11 hours. We had to stay open a little later. It took him longer than he anticipated. We had to stay open past 8.
Whoa.
And it was a lot of work involved in setting that record. He had to videotape it from a couple different angles. Your brother was a witness, I think.
He was one of the officiators, yeah.
Stephen
So,
was a
yeah.
witness, yeah. We had to have expert witnesses, which an employee at a Lego store is an expert witness. 2, I think.
Yeah.
So one sat over there, and they just took shifts, and
Whoa.
it was wild.
They had the guy come down. Yeah, it was crazy. So.
It was fun, though, because people could look in through the window, and they watched it happen, and then we displayed the Millennium Falcon for a while.
Exactly.
I'm just picturing him using that like power-up cheat code you could get in the Lego games where you could build faster.
Yeah, exactly. The sound effects.
Toggle on.
Click it, click it, click it, click it, click it.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's awesome.
Well, good luck with your world record.
Thank you.
That's
It
exciting.
should be a good time. So
I'm sure you'll document all that on your YouTube channel
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So
Oh, yeah.
definitely lots to look forward to on the
And then you're
Mini
going to
Super
get a
Stage.
target on your back, and people are going to be like, I want to beat Jonathan's record.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Oh, well, I suppose I can't really comment on that, but yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be cool, and I'm really excited to see how it goes. So
That's gonna be awesome, Jonathan. We'll
might
cheer
have to
you
pick
on.
up a couple of sets while I'm here to help
Yeah.
check off the checklist. Because it's funny, like the things I'm missing are not really the things you might think I'd be missing. Like you'd think like, oh, Comic-Con sets or like Big Daily Bugle. It's like, no, it's literally like random like $20 sets from
Something
2014.
dumb that you never wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
A great example are those just they're so ugly. Those 2012 like construction figures of
Oh,
Captain America,
yeah.
Hulk, and Iron Man.
I love them.
I think we've got a couple, maybe. We'll have to see.
You do have a couple, and I was thinking about getting them because it's like I need them.
Yeah,
but I should have bought them. It's so funny. I remember back in 2012, I bought the Captain America one, and I remember being on the Lego subreddit, like looking and being like, I wonder if this is going to be worth anything someday. And I ended up returning it to Target because I'm like, I'd rather have another set. And
Well,
now I'm
minifigures,
like,
right? Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
They really didn't appreciate and value that much. They're still affordable.
They're not gangbusters
Yeah.
collectible prices yet, so
yeah, they are not the S&P 500 of Lego Marvel collectibles,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Exactly.
But they came out at the same time that the Ben 10 buildable figures came
Yeah.
out. I thought that was really cool that Lego did Ben 10.
Yeah, those were much cooler than the Marvel ones.
They were awesome.
Agreed,
yeah,
for sure.
much cooler.
Yeah. But speaking of collecting, like you're working on this world record, you got a huge Marvel and specifically collection, but in your collecting journey, and I know a couple people like this, like I'm sure Duck Bricks gets this, I know my friend Brad, who does Castle stuff, he gets this. People reach out to them and say, hey, I've got this, are you interested? Is that reached a point for you when people are literally, you don't even have to look anymore because everyone's sending you an email about cool stuff you might be interested in?
Yeah, I am always looking, admittedly, and if you're watching this and have something you'd like to send me, my DMs are always open.
There you
But,
go.
yeah, I mean, I have had some really cool things come my way in the messages. Probably the craziest one just happened a couple weeks ago. I do have to explain the full anime lore of this, so if you'll allow me a minute here.
We got time, we got it.
Yes, so spoiler alert, the thing I'm about
Check my
to...
messages.
Spoiler alert, the thing I'm about to explain actually did end up in my collection. But in 2019, when Avengers Endgame came out, in Suntec City, Singapore, there was a Toys R Us that did a week-long sweepstakes you could enter into. You had to spend $150 on the Endgame sets that had just come out. Once you spent the $150, you then had to text a picture of your receipt to this phone number. Of those receipts that were texted in, they picked 22 winners to win a 1 of 22 Avengers Station was the name of it. I think Avengers Battle Station or something like that. But anyways, It's about that big, that wide, and that tall. And it has a brick-built A in black, like the Avengers A logo. And the main thing is white, and it opens up on hinges, and there's 6 slots inside to put the main 6 Avengers inside. And there are exclusive printed trans blue window pieces, as well as little tiles on the walls, and so on and so forth. Long story short, only 22 of them were ever made. So not only is it the most limited LEGO Marvel Superheroes piece ever made, it's in the running of the most limited LEGO products ever produced.
Yeah, gift with purchase rarity type thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few LEGO items that have been made commercially available that are less than 22 in quantity. And when you get less than 22, it's usually one of 10 or one of 1. So, I mean, it is in the running for top 50 least produced LEGO items. But, ended up having somebody from Singapore send me a message and say, hey, I've had this for a couple of years. Are you looking for it? And so, I'm super grateful to add that to my collection. And that certainly contributes to the world record because it's like...
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest piece I just wrote off and thought, well, I'm going to go for the world record and get everything except this. And opportunity knocked, and it was just a
I wouldn't be
huge
surprised if
opportunity.
that's not your most valuable one, though. Is that your most valuable piece?
I mean, it borders on priceless just because it's like,
okay.
I don't know.
I would
so
think
rare.
a minifigure might be worth more.
Yeah, I am very grateful that last year I had the opportunity to pick up the Andrew Garfield 2013 Comic-Con figure, which...
Super cool figure.
Yeah, it's a very cool figure. It's limited to 350 ever made, and that is like in the 5 figures worth of value these days. So that is kind of crazy for one figure. I'm very grateful that I did not pay 5 figures for it. My rule was I would just not pay more than $10,000 for it because... There's some pretty nice cars you can get in that range. You know?
Nice used car for that money.
Yeah, so I couldn't do that, but a friend of mine, Rarest LEGO Minifigs, had one, and we talked about it for a long, long time. And he knows my end goal of going for this world record, and so he helped me get one for just unbelievable price. So
he gave you a great deal on it.
He gave me a
that's good.
unmatchable deal on it. So,
that's what friends are for. That's awesome.
Samuel Rarest LEGO Minifigs, one of my favorite people in the LEGO community, and I will shout him out and say thank you anytime I can.
Another great channel. We'll see if we can get a link in the description for us. So.
Yeah, of course.
So speaking of great channels and people's usernames, okay, so you've mentioned Duck Bricks, and then you mentioned his real name, Chris, right? You mentioned Rarest Minifigures, and then you mentioned his real name, Sam. What percentage of people call you mini superheroes today?
Versus Jonathan.
To Jonathan.
That's a good question.
And does it bother you? Of course, you said you don't like percentages and numbers like that.
No, I do like percentages and numbers. I'm just terrible at estimating.
Okay, gotcha.
No, I'm a statistics nerd.
Because I've heard people in the store come up and say, mini superheroes today, and it's like, and you react great to it, you know.
Yeah,
and
super kind to everybody, but
I think it's hysterical. That somebody calls you that. But but they do. And
my only regret in my LEGO community journey is how many letters are in the name Mini Superheroes today.
It's a little bit of a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. It takes a long time. And truth be told, I started creating LEGO content in March of 2015. So this will be 9 years here in a couple weeks. And I started it actually, I was in a pretty rough place mental health wise while I was in college, and the way the cards were dealt, this is going to sound like a good thing, but allow me to explain. I only had classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays for my spring semester of my freshman year of college, so I had 4-day weekends all the time and Wednesdays off. So I had a lot of free time my spring semester of freshman year of college. Well, when you're not in a great place, like with your mental health, a lot of free time is not necessarily the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a man in the mirror moment, and I thought, okay, I can watch Parks and Rec for the 16th time through. Or I could use all this free time to try and come up with like a life skill that could pay dividends down the road and maybe help me launch a career someday. So I had taken maybe 7 or 8 Lego figures with me to college, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to start creating Instagram posts with just the figures I have in front of me and see how long I can go. So my original name was LEGO Super Heroes Today. The idea being today I'm posting another piece and I'm going to see how long I can create daily content for. Well, as of right now, I've never missed a day of posting on Instagram, ever, since March of
Wow.
2015. I am kind of ready to hang my hat on posting every day because it's like, okay, like a significant portion of my life has been like posting every day on Instagram. That's not to say I'm stopping content, but just
Maybe not quite.
there are
that level,
very
yeah.
few things that humans do every single day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like, I don't know about every day anymore. Maybe like
Maybe
6
change
days
it
a
up.
week.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like, I'm
Take
not
a day
hanging
off.
it up, but literally I've never taken a day off. And like, you know, I go on vacation and I have to plan like, am I going to make content while I'm gone, or am I going to cram to make content before I go?
Mm-hmm.
Because taking a day off isn't an option. And it has served me well, if I could say so with as much humility. Like, it's helped, you know, open opportunities, doors, and things like that up to this point. But like, I think everybody deserves a little bit of breathing time and time off. I spend a lot of time on my screens, which is not something I'm very excited to say out loud, but I always keep it real with people, and so it is what it is. So I'm just ready to decompress and be like Thanos after the Infinity Gauntlet snap, where I just like sit and look out at a field and just like enjoy the sunset.
A little bit of a smile, yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna skip the whole snapping half the people out of reality
Oh, yeah.
thing, just like the, you know, feeling of
Well,
it.
some people say Thanos was right.
That, I would not be one of them.
That's a
but
hot take,
There
yeah.
are people out there that would say it.
The bad guy faction in the Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
TV
they thought
show.
so.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they did.
And they had such a good point that they were coming from. You know, oh, people were nicer. There was space for everybody. No borders. Like, they were humanized bad guys, which is awesome. Marvel was brilliant the way they did that. Yeah. But you didn't answer the question, so...
I don't even remember what it was.
But that was
About people asking my
mind the
name
user
or
name?
Mini
Yeah.
Superheroes today.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love it. It's very cool. I'm very fortunate that I kind of walk several different paths. You know, I do the Lego thing, I create music, so I know a lot of people through music. Then, of course, just being out and about in Nashville and meeting people out in the world. So it's kind of fun that, like, I have different friends from different corners of my life. And so I would say most commonly people call me Jonathan, but it doesn't faze me when somebody's like, oh, Mini Superheroes today. It's like, wow, it's pretty cool to think that, you know, this project that I started when I was in college, having a difficult time with, you know, mental health and trying to cultivate a skill, has grown to a point where I can be at a Lego convention and a kid or an adult or a father and son or whoever the case may be, can come up and be like, oh, we love your YouTube channel. We watch you on TikTok. We follow you on Instagram. And be like, wow, you know, something really good and positive and, you know, impactful to people came out of a difficult time in my life. So, yeah, you know, it is...
And what's
it's
nice,
a huge,
what
huge
must
honor.
be nice about it is that you can compartmentalize how people know you. So if they
Correct.
just say, "Hey, Jonathan," oh, do I know this person? Or am I supposed to know him? But if they call you Mini Superheroes today, then oh, okay, they know me.
It's a
Correct.
fair.
That's
correct.
awesome. I wish people did that. I wish I had it.
You need to post
It's-
daily on Instagram, Chris.
It's
is what
never
we
too
need.
late. I will say 2023 was an interesting year that, like, I got, you know, I'm always very grateful, and I think it's a very fortunate thing when people, like, come up to me at a Lego convention and like, oh, I watch your content. But, like, I've started to get recognized from Lego content outside of the context of, like, a toy store or a Lego convention.
So just in the general public
Yeah,
kind
so
of thing,
like,
yeah. So.
it happened at the mall last year, it happened at a grocery store last year, and it's just like, okay. It happened at Target a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was buying something, and a guy said, your voice sounds really familiar, and I said, oh, I don't know, and he goes, do you make Lego videos on TikTok? And I'm like, yeah, I do, and in my head I'm thinking, wow, that is wild.
That's very specific. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Like, he got that from me saying no to, do I want batteries with that? You know, that's wild.
Absolutely.
Well, back to posting every day. So last time you were here, 2 years ago, a long time ago, too long. Last time you were here, you mentioned that you answer everybody that sends you a message and reply to a lot of comments.
All your DMs, yeah.
And that motivated me to do better responding to customers. Because we get them from email, Instagram,
Yeah.
All the
TikTok,
socials, yeah.
Facebook,
Yep.
Google, you name it. And we do a terrible job responding to people. And it's impossible.
We have like 3 or 4 people that all do it, but yeah. so-
I'm paying people to
Yeah, they-
respond to people,
Yeah.
and we're still not responding to people because it's just so much.
I do try my best with that. It does get a little bit difficult because, like, at this point, I juggle so many different plates between my personal life, the businesses that I own, and the Lego stuff that, like, I do the Lego stuff on my own. I don't have a team to be able to answer DMs and things like that.
You don't have employees yet, yeah.
Correct. So, can't really do that, but I do try to be as responsive as possible, but, like, sometimes somebody will just send me, like, an Instagram message with, like, a gif of a cat rolling around, and it's like, I can't, there's nothing for me to respond to here.
You can't have a meaningful conversation there. Yeah.
Do you know how many gifs with a cat rolling around you're going to get now?
I know, yeah. But
all of our viewers.
But fair warning, I'm not responding if it's that, so, I mean, it is what it is. But I had a mentor of mine, his name's Sandy Gennaro. He was the drummer for Joan Jett, Cyndi Lauper, The Monkees, Bo Diddley. He's played with so many of my musical heroes.
That's cool.
And long story short, he told a story about how when he was a young man, he took time for somebody that took time for him. And that person wanted to honor him and say what a great drummer he thought he was. And, you know, everybody else in his band at the time and situation was, like, ready to get on the bus and they were leaving the gig. But he just took an extra minute to talk with this random fan, and he tells the story, you know, in a longer way than I will because there's a lot of details, but long story short, years and years later, that guy ended up suggesting him to be the drummer for a then undiscovered Cyndi Lauper. Mm-hmm. So he took time for somebody that most people might have written off, and then that person, years and years later, it paid off and got him the biggest gig of his life, which opened more doors, And so, you know, the big lesson that he imparted to me is you truly never know who you're talking to. And not to say that's from a personal gain standpoint, but to think about that person maybe having a really rough day and you being able to give them just a little bit of kindness and a little bit of positivity in their day can literally make all the difference from a butterfly effect standpoint, or in his case where it literally changed his life. He met his wife while he was touring with Cyndi Lauper. Of course, he has a daughter from his marriage, so it's like, it's really cool to think about how literally one split decision of just reciprocating acknowledgement, just briefly, how that can lead to anything, you know. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
You know,
good motivate. You motivated me again.
Well, I appreciate it.
I just counts, right? Yeah,
it sure does. And you know, there's every day there's more and more things that can distract us. There's another TikTok video to watch. There's another thing you need to do for work. There's another thing you need to do around the house. So we collectively as people are becoming more and more distracted by things that are trying to get our attention. There's always a new Disney Plus show. There's always a new, you know. So when somebody takes time out to acknowledge you with the other literal millions of things that they could be giving their time to, I do think that it is good, as much as it is humanly possible for you with the time and hours you have in the day, to at least acknowledge and reciprocate somebody that's acknowledging you. So that will always be my philosophy. I try my best. I have to admit, life is very, very busy, so it's not possible to do it all the time, but I do try my best to put that foot forward and, you know, always reciprocate.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome.
That's awesome, Jonathan. Very inspirational stuff.
Thank you.
I'm going to redirect a question I was going to ask and ask a different one because that one's a little bit more interesting and spicy.
Right.
Moving on. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was your music. You do a lot of, you're a musician besides your Lego career and your Lego Instagram and all that. So how has that been going? Have you been working on anything currently you want to share and talk about?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking about that side of things. My producer and I are finishing up pre-production on my third album. So
nice.
Pre-production is where you decide how the songs are going to be arranged, how you're going to record them, what instruments you need, you know, all of that stuff. And in a lot of ways, that can be more work than actually making the songs, is lining up the dominoes beforehand. So we're hoping to record that here in just a couple months. So album number 3 on the way.
Nice.
Going to be a lot of fun. It's definitely in vein with my first 2 albums, which are very inspired by like 60s pop music. So think like 1965 Beatles meets Stacy's Mom Has Got It Going On. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my sound.
Nice. Okay.
The center point of those two. And
classic vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, this new album is very much in that vein, but a little bit more like Nashville thumbprint, acoustic-y. It's honestly very hard for me to explain because it's a different direction, but it's not so different that it's jarring. So if you like the first 2 albums, this third one will definitely be up your alley. And I appreciate you asking about
it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So it's an evolution, not a revolution.
It is.
Yeah.
Ooh, it might be a little bit of both.
Ooh, I like it. Very good.
And the Beatles meet Fountains of Wayne.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love both bands.
Me too.
I'll have to tune in. So you play the guitar.
I do.
We have a guitar here. Could you play it?
Oh my gosh,
Could you play
sure.
something on that?
You might get
Just a strum.
You
Just
might
a
get
strum or two.
copyright stricken
Yeah.
if I
It
play
doesn't
anything too serious. But there we go. Is there a pick in here?
No.
There we go.
It might
We
not
are
even
out
be
of
tuned.
tune.
Yeah, out of tune.
It's probably out of tune. Dude, what would you play? Something original?
Look at him tuning the guitar at first. That's great.
Mark and I don't know anything about
We know
musical
nothing about
instruments.
playing instruments.
That's in the right neighborhood.
There you go.
What do you want me to play?
That's
What do you like?
more playing than I expected to hear. So that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know how well our mic will pick it up.
I don't know what I should play
that's
because
awesome.
I
Do
don't.
you know any Ed Sheeran?
I don't.
Okay.
But Lego House
Not
would be
even
the perfect
Lego
thing to play.
House,
No, yeah, I know.
The reason we ask is because that was his guitar.
What?
And we just got a bunch of movie props lately.
What do you mean this was his guitar?
He
played it.
That was the guitar he played in Red Notice.
What?
Yes.
No pressure. He'd be just like picking it up and tuning
We just
it.
wanted to show you that because we knew you were a
What?
musician.
See, it's. I think that's broken, right?
It just looks a little worn down. I don't think it's
Right.
broken.
He
me
takes
see.
it
Yeah.
and he throws it at the end because they take him
Oh
off
my
stage.
gosh.
The police, Interpol, come and get him.
Yeah.
And The Rock's in that scene, and
So yeah.
Gail Godot is in there. And
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool scene.
I was playing something that sounded like Ed Sheeran.
There you go.
It's in the
It sounds like
neighborhood.
an introduction to his song.
Lego House. I don't even know how it goes.
I'm playing Ed Sheeran's guitar right now. This is insane.
We wanted to surprise you with another prop. I know we've been getting some props and sharing a little bit of those on our Instagram,
Yeah.
but we'll
Yeah,
be
that's
getting a
cool.
lot more. And,
We're not giving it to you, but
I didn't
but,
think so.
but you can play it.
But when's the next time I'm going to hold Ed Sheeran's guitar? I'm just going to keep it as a prop till
Yeah,
we
just
wrap up.
hang on to it.
Yeah.
But so that's part of the reason you're here today is because you wanted to kind of check out some of those cool movie props.
Those
for
movie
sure.
props out there are insane. As of the time that this is on YouTube, I may or may not have posted about the movie props yet. If I have, you should go check it out. If I haven't, you should wait because I'll be posting about it soon.
You'll see him soon if he hasn't
Yeah.
already posted them. But another thing, we've talked about some of the rare collectible things you had, but one that I wanted to mention, and I saw on you posted about on your Instagram and YouTube and all that, was the one that you got from space.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that one too?
Yes, and this actually circles back to before about somebody DMing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Crazy. So, I am super honored to get the opportunity to write for 1:37 p.m. It's a pop culture website that's owned by Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, the social media guy, and I'm a contributor over there, and I write all things Lego for them. Well, a couple years ago, I wrote an article about the rarest Lego items that are out there, and one of them is this Life on Mars alien. It is one of, I believe, 300, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. I think it's one of 300.
Mm-hmm. A couple hundred, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Lego sent about 300 of these aliens to the International Space Station. So this Life on Mars alien was sent up to space and brought back down. And then they put them in these commemorative frames, and they were given out to, like, astronauts' families and people who work, with the International Space Station and so on and so forth.
Actual space people would have gotten these.
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe that some were, like, given away at, like, a press conference, and some people that were there got them, but regardless, there's around 300 of them, so not very many people got them to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They very rarely pop up for sale, and I got an Instagram message out of the blue from this woman, and she said, hey, I just read your article about the space alien that was at the International Space Station. Is that something that you would be interested in getting for your collection? And I'm thinking, yeah, that would be amazing. And she said, well, my husband works for NASA, and he's had this for years, and we don't do anything with Lego. We just, Googled this thing we had, and your article came up, so just didn't know if you had one or
That is
not.
awesome.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds great. And long story short, I said, well, what would you like for it? And she said, we're looking to get $8,000 for it. And I'm like, I was thinking of the old man from Pawn Stars. Remember that show?
Yeah.
There was an episode where somebody threw out like a crazy offer, and he goes, not just no, but hell no. And that's all I could think in that moment. I reached out to some collector friends and I explained, like, hey, I've got this offer on the table. Do you think $8,000 is worth it? And all of them were like, it's cool, but that's way too much money.
It's a little bit high.
So I got back to her and I said, hey, I'm not saying that you can't get this, but there's no way $8,000 is a lot of money. I said, if you would ever be open to an offer that is good but significantly lower, let me know. And, best of luck. She's like, well, I thought about putting it on eBay, but we don't have an account, so we don't have any feedback, which means it's hard to sell an item this expensive with no feedback.
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out, da-da-da. Well, she reached out maybe 3-4 weeks later, was like, hey, we just really want to get rid of it. Would you like it for this price? And I generally don't disclose what I pay for things, but I'll tell you it was a fraction of $8,000, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of $8,000. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great to me. And she ended up selling it to me, and it hangs proudly in my Lego collection. And I always wanted to own something that had been out of Earth's orbit.
Absolutely.
So
How cool is that?
Pretty wild that it's also a Lego
That's
thing.
awesome.
Yeah, I would have settled for some meteorite dust, but
Yeah. That's more meaningful. It's Lego. It's on brand. It's perfect.
Now we need to get that minifigure in a Marvel movie, so then it's a Marvel minifigure.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
All right, so music checked off. But one final thing I wanted to ask, and I don't know if you have any more questions too, Chris, but the last thing on my list was some of the recent Marvel sets. Some of them are fantastic. I can think of like the Daily Bugle, the Avengers Tower, some of these bigger, high minifig count, really great sets. But then some of these sets, little like, okay, Marvel, what are we thinking here? The Hulkbuster comes to mind, maybe even the Black Panther sculpture. Rocket Raccoon's turned a few heads for having some kind of wild-looking eyes. What are some of your takes on some of these more controversial sets? Let's start with, like, I know you covered them on your channel, but just for us, can we get, like, the 10-second version?
Sure.
Hulkbuster, how do you feel about that set? And has it changed at all since it's now been out for, over a year? So
Yeah, just for those watching, this is the $550 big behemoth Hulkbuster.
The chunky Hulkbuster.
Yeah, I have to say it's gotten worse with time.
Oh, no.
I made a video where I actually use it. I have him like with his left arm out and his finger down, and he holds my paper towel roll in my basement bathroom in my house. It's like all I can think to do with it. So yeah, the thing is for me, I have people that comment and say I'm too positive when I review Lego sets. To all those people, hi, how you doing? Happy New Year. Here's the thing. We live in a world that is so negative.
Very negative.
It is so hard to keep your head up. The news will beat you down. Work's going to beat you down. Just everything in our world, for some reason, has shifted to give negative energy off. Yeah. And so being aware of that, the last thing that I want to do is to contribute to that. So the best way that I can see to do that is to try and find positive things that we can talk about, that if you see an Instagram video of mine that's 37 seconds long, if it makes you smile, if it makes you remember something from your childhood, if it inspires you to build a Lego set, great. My mission has been accomplished. That's why I do what I do.
You're not here to dunk on stuff.
No. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, something so bad like the Hulkbuster comes around where there's no opportunity. There's nothing to do except dunk on it, yeah. But that's not why I got into the business, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And so, I say all that to say that my philosophy when talking about Lego sets is this is the only product, and please correct me if you can think of another. This is the only product that you can go to the store and buy, and if you get home and you truly hate it, you can dismantle it and turn it into something you do like. Mm-hmm. If I go and buy a new kitchen sink and I install it and I don't like how high, the faucet is, guess what? I have a kitchen sink I don't like.
You have to replace it.
There's nothing I can do. But with a Lego set, I can tear it apart. I can build a spaceship. I can build whatever. The reason that I feel good dunking on the Hulkbuster is the set is so peripheral, or it's so specific to what it is. Mm-hmm. You can't do anything with the $500 Hulkbuster except build a Hulkbuster. Mm-hmm. So to me, it loses the best quality that Lego has to reinvent into something else. So I don't like the Hulkbuster for that reason. I do like the Black Panther bust like 1% more, because there are a lot of better pieces in the Black Panther bust that you could feasibly turn into something else.
A Star Wars ship.
Yes, with all those black pieces. But unfortunately, it very, very it falls into a very similar camp of like there's nothing you can really do with it except
Very specific.
for Black Panther. So yeah, those two are definitely pretty big losses in the Marvel category. But I like the Black Panther one more than the Hulkbuster, but that's also like saying I like black licorice more than eating gravel. Like they're both terrible.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Well, I appreciate how positive you are about all the sets that you talk about, and it's basically all of them. You're always such a example to everybody to not take such a negative enjoyment of it, but more like there's always a good side, a silver lining to see. So I really like that. But I appreciate you being honest with us too, because me and Joe were talking about it earlier. It's like even though you get sent product by LEGO to review, you're always very honest about what exactly it is. If it's a good value, if it's the one to get, or if the things that you like about it. So it's like I appreciate that perspective, and it's a very unique one in this day and age. So I appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll give one more example.
Yeah.
Literally today, I posted a review on Instagram of the new Spider-Man helmet that just came out. It's $70, and it only has a handful of printed pieces in it. Many of the web pieces on it are stickers. There are more stickers than printed pieces.
Yeah.
In the LEGO Marvel helmet collection, it is $70, but it has the second lowest piece count of any of them. The
Kind
only
of smaller,
yeah, the only LEGO Marvel helmet set that has less pieces is the first one, the Iron Man helmet from 2020. But if you remember, it had all of those like lacquered gold pieces in it.
Metallic gold,
Yeah, which are really, really nice. So I'm okay with that having less pieces because you get some really nice gold pieces. So the Spider-Man one is among the most expensive of them. It has the most stickers, and it's almost entirely red pieces. So to me, it's very hard to like be positive about that, again, because like all you can do is basically build Spider-Man's head with this set.
It's very specific shaped pieces, yeah.
Yeah, so like, today's video I put out was definitely a negative review, but it's kind of funny how, like, I'll put out this one negative review, but people will still always say, like, oh, he's positive about it.
Yeah,
everything.
you're being too soft on it. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, it is what it is. I am very grateful to walk the path that I do and to make a positive ripple effect, I hope, on people that come across my content. So you just can't give any attention to the detractors because they are not helping me get any closer to my mission of making the world a slightly more positive place with the output I put out. So for me to slow down and kowtow to things that they say would be detracting from the reason I do it in the first place. So, gotta stay on track.
Exactly. I like that very singular mission. It's really commendable, man.
I appreciate it.
Great
Thank
point.
you.
It reminds me very much of Mark's Instagram posts that he does.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
My shtick is to throw things in a bin. You're like, oh, look at this set. Isn't it cute? I'm the opposite. I'm so sorry, Jonathan.
But see, that's why we're buds, because polar opposites
Yin and yang. Okay.
can find a way to coexist.
But there's also something satisfying about seeing something break. That's
Yes.
why on LEGO Masters, they quite often destroy.
I learned a thing from LEGO Masters. Yes, that's true. But and it's not just like I love destruction. I'm actually buying all these sets to build something out of them, and part of that is going into the unsorted bin, and it's fun.
To be fair, he has always done this. Ever since I've known him, he has showed me pictures of these amazing castles, and it's like, oh, where's that? Whoa, what do you mean? Where is it?
I took it apart years ago. Yes,
I took it apart years ago. And it's like, why would you build something so amazing and then just take it apart?
That's my problem. I can't get rid of anything. I can't take apart anything. It's just like, if I want to build a mock, I buy a second set because I can't take apart the first one. It just,
that's awesome.
It goes against my code of conduct. But that's okay. For every one of me, there's one of Mark, so it balances out the world. It's great.
Exactly.
So there's a castle out there I built in the store
The big
12 to 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And I never took it apart.
And it drives me
And I
crazy.
will never take it apart.
I want to rebuild it so bad.
And he and Steven are always like, oh, yeah, let's take this thing apart and make something else.
Chris, when
And
can we
it's
change
like,
out that castle?
How many castles have you built? And then how many are still together?
So it's probably in the hundreds, actually, of how many just small castles, towers I've made, and I have none built right now. Just lots of recycled pieces. That's what the good thing about Lego is. So.
It
They're
is.
starting to play the music. I think our time's up here.
Yeah.
Was that me
I-
strumming a couple chords?
the closing.
I have a very important question.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan.
One final question from Chris.
So you live in Nashville, right?
I do.
Have you ever met Taylor Swift?
I have not.
Okay, we're done here.
I have not.
Well, on that sad note, it's time to end. But hey, Jonathan,
The saddest chord of all time, the E minor.
thank you so much for joining us on this awesome chat about you, your life experiences, your methods, your positive outlook, and it's just been almost inspirational chatting with you.
That's why I do what I do, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Great to have you on again.
It's been an honor.
The sequel, I think, is possibly better than the first one. We'll let you be the judge. You can go watch both of them.
Let us know, did we pull a Shrek 2?
Exactly. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to go check out Mini Super Heroes today. If you haven't already, go like, comment, and subscribe on all of his videos. So, appreciate you guys. Thanks, guys.
How about The Office?
Oh, yeah.